Hey, Dustin. I have spent a number of hours on your methodology, and while all the required elements are there, there is extensive repetition and problems with your organization, and you go off into detailed tangents when you don't really need to. So, example, we don't need to know the history of the program and all that you're running and whatever. We just need to know the key details of that program. Give us context. And there are other things that I've deleted, and I've deleted quite a bit that we don't need to know every little decision. That can be talked about in your candidacy exam, but you don't need to write it out. What you need to do though is follow these guidelines. So you have the research design, then you strictly put in the research paradigm methodological framework. I think you've combined the theoretical framework and the research paradigm in your case. Um, then you have the research questions. Now they were buried in the bottom there, and they actually have to come up to the top. Then the participants in the sampling, and I pared that down because you were giving every possible decision, and you don't need to do that. So I pared it down to what you need to do. Then we talk about data collection methods, okay? And within that, we have the data collection tools, and you just describe the tools and you refer to the appendices. I started to do that, and then I sort of got worn down. And I realized that's your work. You've got to do that. But just focus on the tools, the questions. That's it. Don't mix the tools with the procedure. And I've kind of showed you. So you'd have the tools, and then you talk about the step-by-step procedure. Now, I did delete a table, which you might want to put back about, here's an overview of the procedure step by step with the timing, which is fine. But then you talk about and you discuss. Okay, yes, there's the consent form, which you refer to again the appendices, and then you um, that's you talk about that, and then you talk about how the surveys were administered, and then how the focus groups were conducted, and then how the journal entries were done, or whatever order that you put them in there, and so that we have an idea of the procedure. The procedure is how were the tools used, okay? Then you have a section which was buried somewhere in the beginning, which you put in data analysis. You don't need data analysis for this, but I labeled it that way. You don't have validity, reliability, and trustworthiness at this point. You might consider the ethical considerations, but I'm not entirely sure if, as long as you have that consent form stuff, that's fine. And then you scope and limitations of the method, and then you can define and which you have, but use these headings. Okay, so strictly use this organization, make the edits. There's lots of edits and things that I've deleted, and then I can take another look at it to kind of look at it for content, because I found it was just there was so much there. um, you might actually, once you finish this, run your thesis or your proposal through ChatGPT or wherever you use Copilot, and say, are there redundancies that I could eliminate? Because I see you're using, in fact, sometimes using the exact same phrase later on in the thesis. And so you want to avoid that. Okay. Overall, though, you've really done. You've got the key components here. We just need to pare it down so it's presentable and clear to the reader. As soon as the reader starts to get confused by being overwhelmed with information, then they're going to start to criticize. That'll happen. So I want to make this really clean.